Good morning. My name is Benjamin Aller. I'm a partner with the law firm of King & Wood Mallisons, and it's my pleasure to be here today with Wael Aburida of Pinebridge. Wael, morning. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Tell me, Wael, tell me a little bit about yourself and about Pinebridge.
Sure. So Pinebridge is a global asset management firm. Historically, we've been around for 60 years, focused on emerging and frontier markets. We have operations in 22 countries, 16 of which are emerging frontier markets, and we have $74 billion in management.
Brilliant. And more specifically, tell me a bit about what you're doing here in the Middle East and the GCC region.
Would love to. So Pinebridge MENA was established a few years back, and we have a very unique strategy here, which is we're not only looking to help our clients, traditional institutional LPs, have access to our global products, but more importantly, we want to invest in the region, invest in growing businesses in the region, both within our private equity platform as well as our real estate investment platform.
And why MENA? What do you see as the opportunity here? What is the pitch that you give to investors?
So I won't go through all the great demographic trends that we're seeing, but what I will say is we have a lot of great growth companies, primarily focused in two segments. Demand-driven sectors, primarily consumer demand, and industrial growth. And then we're seeing opportunities to help those companies unlock value through accelerated growth of their business, and eventually to an eventual exit.
Yeah, interesting. Well, tell me something more about how you and private equity more generally adds value to businesses in this region.
Sure. I mean, from our perspective, it's a very simple approach. We look at our portfolio companies as our ultimate client. So we are working with the founders of these businesses. They're typically middle market companies that are looking to help accelerate their growth. These are founders who have been there since the beginning, and they want to find a solution. Many times in this market, founders will go to banks looking for access to capital, and banks really will not look to help growth companies with their funding needs. We look at this as a partnership, so we are looking to deploy equity into that business. If they're asset heavy, if there's real estate on their balance sheet that's core to their business, we'll even through our real estate fund acquire that and lease it back. So again, it's a partnership with these companies.
That's interesting. You talk about partnership, and I think the part of the image of private equity is that it's corporate raiders coming in, buying control of companies, flipping them quickly, and making a fast buck. But you seem to have a very different approach. Tell me about the partnership kind of feel that you have with the portfolio companies.
So great question. So Ben, what we do is we look at first what sectors we want to be in. And I mentioned those previously. Yeah. Then we look at which are the companies that are really growing quickly within that market, and then we look at the individuals within those companies. So we really look at this being a long-term relationship. Obviously, within PE, this is not for us. This isn't a story about a quick flip. We're expecting to be in there for 7 to 10 years.
7 to 10. Wow.
So we need to ensure that we see eye to eye with our partner. Even if we are diluting them to the point where they're below 50%, we want to ensure that they're shoulder to shoulder with us in growing this business. And by doing that, we bring all the resources of Pinebridge globally to bear in support of that portfolio company.
And now you've just recently raised a MENA real estate fund. How do you see that? How does that help you in your investing and your partnership with the portfolio companies?
So again, as we said, we're focusing on the company first,
right,
and then we decide, okay, this is a company we want to back. How best can we help support their growth? Do they have real estate on their balance sheet that we can then lease back to them? Mm-hmm. So what we look at is our GCC real estate fund acquires the asset and then leases it back over a long-term period, typically 15 plus years.
Interesting. We have about a minute left, and I did want to ask you a bit about exits and how you see, because after all, the value-adding, the value chain requires an exit and cash at the end of the day.
Sure.
How do you see exits in the region? What are your hopes in terms of being able to sell portfolio companies?
So there's been a lot more activity in the IPO market recently. we don't look at things on a year-to-year basis. So what we do is really spend a lot of time with our portfolio companies at the operational level, helping accelerate their growth, helping get them tied in with joint ventures with companies in Asia, Europe, the US, and eventually that leads to getting on the radar of typically a strategic acquirer who will either want to take an equity stake in the business, reduce our stake, or eventually acquire the company as a whole.
Interesting. Great. Well, Wael, thank you very much for
Thank
your
you,
time.
Ben.
It's really been a
Appreciate
pleasure.
it. Thank you.